What is going on, everybody? I'm Jaby Koay, joined by Achara Kirk.
What's up?
This is our Mission Impossible spoiler review podcast discussion.
That means there will be spoilers, and if you are not into it, then see you later.
But if you're into the spoilers, we're gonna shovel that into your mouth, like Homer Simpson eating donuts in hell. We're talking about Mission Impossible, and Ethan Hunt is back in his adventures again to save the world. Only he can do it.
That's right.
This is a continuance from Dead Reckoning, formerly known as Dead Reckoning Part 1, and that left on a cliffhanger in the midst of the entity trying to take over the world, taking control of all of our computers, all of our nuclear silos, and henceforth. And so the adventure continues.
Yes.
Now, we don't actually know what you thought of this movie.
Let's start with what I liked about the movie. I liked how it was playing homage to all of the films that came before it. I liked how they managed to integrate different story points from earlier movies in the franchise, as well as using characters that we've seen in the franchise or in earlier movies, bringing them back, sometimes even random characters, bringing them back in a meaningful way, which I thought was really cool. The stunts and the action, as to be expected, was really, really cool and thrilling and exhilarating to watch on the big screen. It felt like a really long movie. Like, it felt like 3 movies, and I don't mean 3 movies in terms of like I watched 3 different movies with like a movie with 3 different tones.
Yeah.
I watched one movie, but it felt like I was watching 3 of them.
They needed chapter markers.
Kind of,
They needed chapter markers like Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah, but it was fun. I think if you're a fan of the franchise, go watch it. If you like good action, go watch it.
Having watched it a second time, the biggest takeaway for me was, I feel like I'm watching this for the first time again. Now, there's a lot of things that might play into that. Normally, when I watch a film a second time, I check out because my brain is almost like on autopilot, or like as if I'm on the freeway. And so there's not a whole lot of need to record new information. And so I'm just like, okay, very few instances does it feel like, wow, this is just as cool as the first time I watched it. Whiplash, Noah, and Mission Impossible Final Reckoning. Like, there's so few films where I watch it a second time and I'm like, whoa, fresh experience all over again. I found some new things to appreciate. Part of it is the editing. Part of it is there's so much going on. It's such a long film, and there's so much to experience in the movie. And for me specifically, there was a rude guy next to me the first time I watched it that was highly distracting and made it difficult for me to even absorb information.
Yeah, I learned from that. I was sitting next to you and I was trying very carefully to eat my snacks.
You were still loud, but it's okay. You weren't as bad as that guy. I could hear you rummaging through your popcorn thing.
I was like, I was just trying to get my gummies.
I enjoyed it about the same as I did the first time. If anything, I probably enjoyed it more the second time. The stunts stuff with the plane, I enjoyed more the first time just because it was fresh. The stuff with Tom Cruise inside of the submarine.
Okay.
It was specifically when he's by himself. I enjoyed that more the second time.
When you say by himself, you mean when he went all the way down into the one that the Russian ship that got sunk, not when he was with the other people.
With the Russian ship that got sunk. That's what I meant. I apologize for any confusion I may have caused.
I was a little bit confused, yeah.
The first time I watched it, I felt more anxious about the situation, kind of like how you felt when I was like, because I was kind of looking at your reaction about it. I felt that anxiety, but the second time I watched it, I enjoyed it more overall because I knew what was coming. The first time I watched it, I was a little frustrated that we didn't have the other IMF team members there. So I had 2 different like opposing feelings.
Interesting.
Right? So on the one hand, my anxiety was higher the first time, positive, but I missed the team, negative. Second time, I knew the team wasn't going to be there, positive. I'm okay now. I allowed myself to just enjoy the scene for what it was.
Yeah, no, that scene was really harrowing. Like,
I could feel you. I could feel your tension next to me.
There were so many things going on in there that could go wrong, and everything went wrong. Every time the submarine moved and kept like sliding down the ocean floor, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
The anxiety when like all the water was rushing in and he had to get through that small pipe and then he had to take off his suit. That was crazy. And what was even crazier was he then went out in the water, which I'm imagining is like super crazy cold, in his underwear.
Yeah.
I don't know an awful lot about like diving and stuff, but I thought if you were under that much water, wouldn't the pressure just crush you? Wasn't part of it like he's in his suit and therefore that's protecting him from the pressure and everything? That's the part that was getting me confused. I was like, why isn't Ethan dead yet?
Because he's Ethan Hunt.
That's the only reason
He's
why.
the one.
That's the only reason why. There was so many times he should have died in this movie already.
Well, here's the thing. That whole sequence is where the movie jumped the shark for me. Because like he exits and then he takes off the mask because it's pulling him down. And I'm like, okay, the stakes are already high.
The stakes in this movie, it's like, stakes are high. Oh, you thought they were high. They're higher and higher and higher and higher. They were like, oh, how high can we go? Yes.
Right. I thought the stakes were adequately high in that moment. It was already harrowing because he's deep underwater and he doesn't have his suit on. He could go into hypothermia or whatever, right? And so that's already sufficient for me. I'm like, I feel for him. But then when he removes the thing from his mouth and now he's swimming just on air, I'm like, okay, now I've lost my sense of disbelief. Now I'm reminded I'm watching a movie.
Right.
There was a lot I feel like could have been done better in that whole sequence, and that one of them was just let him keep his damn mask. Like it's thick ice. There's a lot there that can be suspenseful, and the way they decided to do it I thought was wrong. The way I would have done it was he gets to keep his mask, and then you get to the other angle of his IMF team who's trying to track him down. The little beep 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 thing he had. It's a radius. It's not pinpoint accurate. And so they're trying to locate him. His air tank will run out. Mm-hmm. That whole thing is very harrowing right there. Let us have that scene. That's so much better. And we get to see it from their perspective and we get the team back in there who's trying to do their part. But they did it how they did it. And that's that. So the plane stuff was the thing that made me have to watch the film again, and made me have to watch it in IMAX. And so I want to hear your thoughts about the whole plane sequence.
I was so nervous. Mm-hmm. I looked at the guy sitting next to me because he was basically giving like a movie reaction as we were watching.
I hated him. I hated him with every fiber of my being.
I was like, wow, like I'm well aware that I do this for movie reactions when we're doing them for the channel, but boy, it's annoying to sit next to someone who's doing that in real life in the movie theater. But anyway, that was the only time that he shut up.
Oh really?
He was sitting on the edge of his seat and I was just like locked in as well because it was wild just watching Tom Cruise hang on for dear life on this airplane, like driving it with his foot. It was just crazy. Like it's full on craziness, everything that he's doing. And then just so satisfying to watch the bad guy die. He was like, I'm the only one with a parachute. Then he just gets whacked in the face. It's like, hi, but you're dead.
Yeah, the way the bad guy went was very unexpected. The whole thing with IMAX for me is this. I needed to watch this again in IMAX to get the biggest experience possible. My frustration with the movie is that it was not IMAX enough. That's my frustration because a lot of the film was still 239 and I'm like, but why?
Oh, okay, I see.
Why? This is shot digitally anyway. Like, this is probably artificial cropping anyway. I don't know. It's hard to know. I don't know what goes into making these digital IMAX movies, but I would get frustrated because so much of the movie during experiences I thought should have just been IMAX were not. I wanted more of the movie to just be in that taller format is the short of it.
Okay.
That's all.
I guess I didn't really notice it too much. Like, 'cause sometimes I try and look and see, and then sometimes I'm like, I don't really know what is IMAX and what isn't as we're watching it because it all looks big.
Gotcha. So take it to the beginning. I warned you before we went into the film. I was like, just so you know, there's going to be a lot of fast cuts.
Yes.
In the beginning of this, like the first half hour of this movie.
Crazy. That very, very beginning bit where it was just like 1 second flashes of moments from like previous movies and stuff, and it was like boom, 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 it was just like flashing. I was like, holy crap, this is crazy. When they were catching you up on the story and then they had all the flashbacks to other Mission Impossible movies and you get to see Tom Cruise as Ethan Hunt and like all of the team members at various different points in the franchise and at different times in their lives, and you're like, oh my god, he was such a baby when he first started doing this. You know, it felt really nostalgic. I actually really liked it.
I am of two minds about the beginning. The thing is, for me, what was missing was some kind of an emotional rooting into this story. It's like,
Agree.
I understand the nostalgic factor, that I definitely enjoyed that. And it was like when he pops in the VHS tape and it's like analog. Like, does the audience even know, the younger audience even know what that is? It's because there are people who are so young that they don't know what a cassette player is.
It also reminded me of when I was a kid and I would catch like the beginning of Mission Impossible, the TV show.
Sure.
And it was always like some sort of cassette.
Okay.
That would then blow up.
Yeah. And so it was cycling through all that old footage really quickly, and I thought that was pretty cool. But then the whole opening just kept going. It was really, really long. It had to do this extensive expository thing to catch you up to speed in case you didn't watch Dead Reckoning. And I'm like, all right. I don't know why you would have that. It's like, what carries you into this movie, what the emotional hook for you is previous Mission Impossible films.
That's it.
So what is the point of this? It's confusing because the whole goal is to catch you up so that you're rooted into the story, but you're not rooted emotionally. So like that time would have been better spent rooting you emotionally, is my point, so that you can like feel more, I don't know, concerned or like just connected to everything happening.
Yeah.
Like there was something missing there emotionally throughout the movie. And I think that one aspect of it is just humor. Like there was a lot of humor that wasn't present that you get in Ghost Protocol, that you get in Fallout, in the other Mission Impossible films in general. Like there's just more humanity to it that seemed to be missing here. This was more like biblical and very, very serious.
Yeah, it was very, very serious. One of the reasons why it felt like it was lacking emotionally is because the villain or the threat, it doesn't feel tangible. In a way. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like it is tangible in the sense of like, oh my gosh, it's really scary. The world is on the brink of extinction because we're going to blow ourselves up. That's scary. But it was just something about like, oh, it's this entity that's just out there. And then we have like the representation of the bad guy.
Right.
But he was boring.
So there's a few different ways that we've seen this played. It almost felt like a digital Saruman. What was it? Saruman. How do you say
Sauron?
Sauron. Sorry, I always confuse their names. Sauron. Sauron felt more present throughout the Lord of the Rings trilogy. And the other thing that you kind of saw with this is Ultron. That might have been too much to actually have the entity manifest itself in human form, to like find a computer, like a robotics lab somewhere and take on some kind of physical form, a tangible form. And then there was this Johnny Depp movie I never saw, where he was like this AI thing that was kind of controlling something, and he was just in the TVs everywhere. You know, you could have it like that, but that's been done, right? And so instead what you have here is a bad guy that's totally absent from the movie. It's like, what?
Yeah. And then you have to like catch him inside this little oblong thing.
Well, I actually thought that was cool as an inclusion, because many years ago I heard about a holographic drive. The notion that you can have something that's like a little bit thicker than this, have 320 terabytes. For me, that's just awesome to like see that thing, and because I know we're headed there. At a certain point, we will get there.
Right.
Just given what you can achieve with M.2 SSDs and all that stuff. It's like where we're at now is insane to me. You just extrapolate over time and the speed at which technology progresses, we will get 320 terabyte, you know, what did you call it? Oblong thing.
A little oblong.
Yeah.
Crystal-y looking thing.
We'll get it eventually. We'll get there. I thought that was cool. And eventually it's going to look funny to us. It's like, 320 terabytes. Like, you know, I cannot wait for the day that's silly.
Sure.
They're like, it's an exobyte lab or something like that. I'm like, that's cool. I was fascinated by all the tech stuff in the movie. I thought that was cool. The fact that like there's this underground lab or facility that's holding all of this data, like Noah's Ark.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. Just the idea that there's this library of humanity.
Yeah. It seemed like it was really easy to access all of that. It didn't seem like there was much red tape in the way to get inside that place. But I thought that the ideas were so cool. And I thought that the stunts were so cool.
Yes.
I think that what's missing for me more than anything in this movie is just something like, I just didn't feel any emotion. You know, I was more just marveling at the situation.
It's pure spectacle.
Yes.
Really. It is kind of lacking in the heart department. It
was trying to do so much. Like, even with the credits, dude. Like, at one point, there's like, it was double billing names coming at the camera. right? And now, granted, we're watching this on IMAX, but I experienced this on the smaller theater as well, where the names are flying at the camera, and I'm like, I can't even read it. Like, and you double stack these names. I can't read either of them. I saw David, and there's 2 names or something, right?
Yeah.
I remember listening to a review or watching a review about the way the fight scenes were edited in the film, and I paid more attention to that this time around, where Tom Cruise gets attacked while he's on the treadmill.
That was cool. I like that.
And it cuts to the cottage or whatever it's called in the snow. Mm-hmm. That fight scene there as well. I thought that was so well executed. Just the action there, the angles that they were using, it felt very thrilling. It felt very harrowing, and you felt very involved in it. There was a couple parts that felt like choreography, but like it was so far and few between. Most of it was just like I'm on the edge of my seat, and engaged with it.
It felt raw.
It felt raw, which is very much what Tom Cruise likes. With his fight scenes, the way it started was fun. Like he gets off the treadmill, he's like, "Wait, what is this about?" Like,
and he's in his underwear again.
Yeah, it's like, why are you doing this? Like before you do, why? Yeah, that whole thing was cut together very well. The action was smooth, and Tom Cruise did a fantastic. I mean, I have to remind myself how old he is. Yeah, and the fight scenes look phenomenal. He's rolling around on the ground doing Gracie Jiu-Jitsu and all this shit, and he's like in his 60s. Are you crazy? That's nuts, man. Yeah. I don't know what he's injecting into his body. I mean, he moves like a guy who's half his age.
Mm-hmm. When he was in that scene with Hayley Atwell as well, when they were caught at first, he's all like, remember, pain is temporary. And then he just like proceeds to beat everyone up. I thought it was interesting as well, the choice to have him do this horrific stuff off camera. And then just have her reaction of like, what the hell?
You liked it?
It was interesting.
Okay.
I think I would have actually liked to see him do that. That was a moment where I was like, that kind of feels like Tom Cruise got a little tired. Yeah. And they were like, you know what? Like, he can't execute these moves. When I was watching it, that's what came into my mind. I was like, oh yeah, Tom Cruise is old. But then later on, I'm like, you know what? That was, I feel like that was them trying to inject some comedy into a movie that feels just like very overly serious, you know?
Maybe.
That was like one potentially comedic moment.
I love the ideas of that scene a lot, but it is another example of my issues with the editing in the movie. The editing when it comes to the sequence in the submarine under the deep underwater, where he's by himself. The editing with the fight scene that we just talked about. The editing with the plane stuff, all that's great. But that potential torture sequence, it moves through everything super fast. Like super quick. Because he's like trying to figure out where the hell he's at. And then once he assesses it, he goes, remember, it's just pain. And then the camera like pushes in on this mallet thing.
Yeah.
I dare you to count the frames. Like it goes so fast. Like let me feel that it's taking away the tension. That's what it is. Because it's moving so quick through that moment, it's just completely cutting the tension. For me anyway, after he breaks free, I'm like, where's the bad guy? Gabriel, where is he?
Yeah,
and then one minute he's there, the very next second, he's not even moving fucking fast. He's walking. He's just walking and he's already clear across he's in the hallway and about to leave. Like, how did you get there so fast? It's just the rapid editing, just because we got to get through this. We got to cut it faster. And I'm like, okay. There's a lot of stuff you're trying to cram into this.
So much stuff.
So opening credits, come back to it, and then he's running, and then there's that case of how Gabriel speaks to the entity. And so they open it up.
Oh, when he gets inside there, yeah.
And it locks him in. I felt, when it locked him in, I got secondhand claustrophobia. I was just like, that made me feel uncomfortable, right? And that was the last time we saw the entity.
Yeah.
In the entire movie.
That's true. That was like right near the beginning.
Never spoke again, never interacted again, and that was it. I'm like, this is the villain.
That's what I mean. It's like, I feel like he kind of had to be more tangible when you made the comparison to Sauron. Mm-hmm. And yeah, of course, like Sauron is just a massive eye, just looking around Middle Earth, right? But Sauron had minions. He had a lot. He had Saruman and his orcs. And he had this massive orc army and they just kept coming and it was relentless. What does the entity have? Oh, he's got people everywhere, but they're in secret. You don't know, but they're around. You know, one guy attacks Tom Cruise in his underwear. Big whoop. Like,
I mean, that was an epic fight, though.
It was an epic fight, but it's like, come on. Like, I mean, I guess I'm kind of trivializing it. Of course, there's like the threat of massive nuclear fallout and everything like that. Yeah, it's pretty scary. But as far as a villain goes, it's like, I don't think anyone's going to be talking about like, wow, the entities, one of the best villains in cinema ever. No, they're not going to
say that. No one's ever going to say that. I mean, he's a screensaver.
Exactly.
Let's be real.
Yeah.
One of the things I had mentioned in my non-spoiler review was that, you know, it's the same threat effectively as Tenet. You know, Tenet is about the end of the world, potentially.
Okay, yeah.
And this is about the end of the world, potentially. They're both effectively like globe-ending, world-ending stakes, right? In Tenet, I complained that it was just so massive of an idea that it was not like something I could hold on to anymore. It wasn't. It was intangible. Whereas here, they were showing you all the different countries' nuclear silos and the flags on the nuclear missiles and stuff like that. And I thought that was actually really effective. And they kept showing you the imagery of like global destruction and stuff. And so it was abundantly clear what the stakes were. It was abundantly clear what the threat was for me throughout the film. And like with the music and everything like that and how dramatic it was, I felt all that. And so I thought that was like, I want to give the movie props for helping me to feel the suspense of the end of the world.
Well, and also when you see the representation of what it might look like when all of those nuclear weapons go up and these major cities that we know are just blown to smithereens.
Right.
That was scary to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and they showed you London.
Yeah. I mean, lots of other countries too.
Right.
You know, there was Paris was there, and
I think London was the one that got the most like destruction, though. Like you actually saw the nuclear fallout and the wheel, the massive what's it called?
London Eye.
The London Eye getting knocked over. The London Eye is always getting damaged, man.
I mean, it's iconic.
Yeah. Independence Day Resurrection, or whatever the sequel was called, had that too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like they flew under it or something. Did you not see it?
Independence Day Resurrection?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, okay. There's a whole London Eye thing in there.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Yeah. I don't actually know if that's what the movie's called, by the way.
Oh.
It's a sequel, and it does not have Will Smith.
Oh.
So.
For shame.
Someone should have slapped him for that move. Anyway,
haha.
He gets out of the thing. He's like, "Are you real? Is this real?" He gives Simon Pegg the lead position of the team.
Yeah.
And he tells Hayley Atwell, "Stay off the ice." Which she doesn't fucking do.
No, and then nothing comes of it.
And then nothing happens. And I'm like, okay.
So the entity is wrong.
I'm so confused by that. We'll just leave that alone. Okay, we'll put a pin in that one. So he runs to Ving Rhames. And I don't know why. He's running across London.
I know. At first I was like, all right, maybe there's traffic. And then cut to not a single car in London at all at that time of night. I'm like, well, why would you run then?
He could Grand Theft Auto
you not
that.
Steal a car?
Yeah.
Could you do something? Like, your friend is about to die.
Yeah.
Every single second counts. And right now, you're going to take this moment to showcase the Tom Cruise run, which we see multiple times in the movie.
If he had gotten a car and Grand Theft Auto'd his way to Ving Rhames, he could have shook that gate a couple more times, you know?
He could have got there before he got trapped in the gate.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
No, he was already trapped in the gate.
I guess.
But he shook that gate. He shook the hell out of that gate.
Look, London, Central London is not actually that big. You can actually navigate Central London on foot very well.
Okay.
But in that situation where there were no other cars around, I think he probably would have been okay to like steal something.
Gotcha.
At least a bicycle.
At least a bicycle.
Yeah. Something.
Yeah.
Roller skates even.
That would have been amazing. Ethan Hunt roller skating to Ving Rhames.
Just like, that upset me.
You know what he should have had was he should have had the, like the kids used to have, where the roller wheels pop
the
out of the
wheelies
bottom.
on the bottom of his shoe, and then it lights up.
Yeah, that's what he should have.
That's what he should have had. They missed an opportunity right there.
Just
fly.
Like in a crouch position across London.
Yeah, on the cobblestones.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that pissed me off though, how they took Luther out of the picture. He's really great. And I understand, like, they're trying to make it emotional. Can we not have two brothers in the movie?
Yeah.
Like, why did we have to take away one? Same how like in the movie before we got rid of Rebecca Ferguson, and I was like, we can't have two beautiful, talented women. I mean, I guess we get Pom Klementieff now, and she's great. I actually really love her character, Paris. I thought she was really cool and like really funny, and she's like a real badass. I'm like, why can't we have them all?
Yeah.
Why did she have to die? Why did Luther have to die?
Right.
And who is this new guy? Why do we know him and why do we care about? I don't care about him at all. I don't even remember his name.
Yeah, I didn't like him. I mean, it's not that I didn't like him. I just didn't. He was blah for me. Like,
was he in the? He wasn't in the movie before, right? In the previous one.
No.
He just showed up. And I was like, all right. I mean, you're nice to look at, but like, why are you here?
I think that it was one of those things where Tom Cruise or Ethan Hunt had done his assessment, because like he maps out the situation. He knows what he's getting into. He looks at all the variables. He does the math, right? And so he knew what kind of character that guy was. Just like he knew that Jon Voight's son had it out for him because he's Jon Voight's son.
Right.
You know, like he knows all the variables. And so he knew that this guy would be someone he could recruit. That's why he knew he could be like, I need your gun. And the guy would give it to him. Like he knows the psychology behind him.
Sure.
I'm assuming that. I didn't care about him. There was nothing particularly interesting about him. Like, I remember Maggie Q was in Mission Impossible 3, I believe, and there was nothing memorable about her. She was just a pretty face part of the team.
Right.
And so it's the same thing. It's just a pretty guy who's part of the team. And I'm like, it's not really moving me. I
think I was just really upset because they took Luther away. And I was like,
yeah.
And then it just seemed like they were trying to replace him with this other guy, even though within the team they do very different things, right? Because like Luther's the guy in the chair, and this guy was like out and about, like field agenting.
Well, they made a good excuse, which is Luther was the one who developed the little stick that was going to destroy the entity or thing. The thing that was in the submarine, right?
Yeah.
And so the only way to destroy it was with Luther's, I forgot what they called it, but it was a USB stick thing, right?
It was like a virus, like a toxin that they had to put in the source code or something
exactly.
like that. Yeah.
Exactly. And he was the only one that could make it up for some reason.
Because he's super smart.
The only person in the world who could make this, apparently. I'm like, okay, so that's your reason that you have to kill him, because then no one else can make this thing.
Right, stakes higher.
Right. And so I was like, okay, fine. Did you feel sad when he died, though?
I wanted to.
Okay.
That's the thing. I really wanted to, because I'm like, oh my gosh, it's freaking Luther.
Yeah.
You know, like, he's great. He's been around since the beginning.
Yeah.
I got sadder at the end when his voice message was playing.
Yes. I agree with you.
But I wanted to feel sad when he died.
You know, the movie was rushing forward again. It's one of those things where, I don't know, maybe... You tell me. You know, the sequence where Tom Cruise is running and then the explosion goes off and he gets hit with all the debris in the tunnel. How would you have felt if instead of it cutting to Tom Cruise is walking in the street with the key in his hand, we are still in the tunnel and he gets up and he's just like kind of wrestling with what the fuck just happened? Like the person he just lost. The movie was caught up in moving forward in a montage manner. Okay, now there's music, it's crescendoing, and he's like in the street and he's on his knees with the key, and I'm like, I don't know, I'm not even processing that he died. The movie's just moving on.
Yeah, it did. There was no moment where I really felt like everyone was really processing. But then again, how could they? Everything was moving so quickly, you know? It's like they had a total of 3 days in the movie.
Okay.
To take care of the entities. So there really wasn't time to mourn. So I guess I kind of get that.
Right.
But as a viewer, it makes it feel very just unsatisfactory. We don't get that catharsis, which is why we go to movies in the first place.
Right.
You know?
And to watch Tom Cruise do stunts.
Yes.
Those are the 2 reasons to go to movies.
There's only 2 reasons.
So after that, he's in the plane. He's with the dude, Jon Voight's son, who always looks like he smelled a fart.
Yes.
Every scene, he looks confused or he smelled a fart.
He's probably confused because he smelled a fart.
Tom Cruise was farting.
Where is it coming from? It smells like rotten eggs in here.
He is older. So
cabbages.
Gets a little bit harder to hold the gas in the older you get, right? He looks great, but he's always
super
farting.
gassy.
Yeah. He tries to offer a handshake, to which John Voight's son, he doesn't want to. He gets up. I know all your tricks, Hunt, and then he walks away. And then there's a whole meeting with the cabinet members and Angela Bassett and the assessment of what happened. And like all the people are at the table, including Nick Offerman. I like Nick Offerman. I felt like it was a little weird that he was in this movie, but I like him.
Sure.
The last time I saw him, he was eating strawberries, and now he's in this movie. And it was just like, is he going to make a joke? He's going to make a joke, right? No, there's no joke. Oh, it's okay, he's serious.
There's no jokes in this movie, don't you know?
Yeah. When Tom Cruise started talking, that's when I enjoyed that scene. Because he's like, the entity doesn't think you should trust me, which is exactly why you should trust me.
Right.
That's exactly why you should send me with the key.
Totally makes sense.
Yeah. He gave it some humanity, which was otherwise lacking in the film. Did you feel like there was a lot of like kind of stilted performances in the film? Because that's what I felt the first time I watched it. Like in that scene in the submarine that picks him up, like it almost felt like a painting. Like everyone had to hold still and do their lines in a position.
There were definitely moments where I was like, wow, that looks like a tableau.
Like there was one guy who was holding a towel around his neck, and he was so still. I'm like, is everyone a mime? Like, what? I don't understand why no one's moving. Like, no, people aren't acting human in this movie. It's so bizarre.
Yeah, or sometimes it just felt like really stylized. Like, hey.
Yeah.
I'm doing this now.
Are you saying you want to poke the bear? Because mister, hell yeah. I'm like, that's funny, but can you, like, why do you sound like a robot? Everybody sounds like a robot in this movie. I think the entity's already taken over.
Right.
There's plausible reason to believe that this is all a computer simulation already. I mean, look how many times he got hit in the head and
survived.
Okay, anyway. So then Angela Bassett makes the little envelope thing, puts her little stamp of approval. It was at that point that, because he gets handed this before he's sent on a helicopter. It was at that point in the film that I realized there's a lot of women in power in this movie.
That's true.
There's so many women in power in this movie.
The future is female, baby.
The future is female bitches. And I was like, okay, I don't know what they're making up for. It really feels like they're compensating. I was like ready to go on ChatGPT and be like, is there that many women in like the armed forces and I just don't realize it and I'm just ignorant?
Possibly.
No, I'm genuinely curious now because I remember when he was in the helicopter going, leaving the, what do you call those? The aircraft carrier, right? It was two female pilots and some bitch ass dude in the back who's like, we gotta go. The women were calm. They had their shit together, right? They were cool as cucumbers in the front. They're like, okay, that was our only warning. And they're like, wow, these like the women are like really strong.
Yeah.
And the dude's like, ah, in the back. I'm like, dude, man up, man.
I definitely noticed it.
Okay.
Yeah, I definitely noticed it. The choice to make the president a woman.
But Angela Bassett, though, she is presidential.
She has gravitas.
Yeah.
That I buy. I noticed it, but I was just kind of like, whatever.
That's kind of how I felt.
Yeah. It didn't bother me. I was just like, okay.
So then he's taken onto the helicopter, out to the submarine that may or may not surface. May or may not pick him up. And there's like a fraction of a window when he can show up because everything is down to the comb. What do you call each individual thing on a comb?
It's a tooth.
A tooth. Thank you.
A fine tooth comb.
It's like a tooth of a comb in terms of like how much time there is, right? And so they go out there and there's no one showing up. That the pilots are flying by and they show their missiles and they're like, okay, that was the only warning we were gonna get. I thought that was actually like a cool detail. Like they're showing us their weapons,
right?
They're flashing at us like, yo, we're gonna shoot this at you if you don't get out of here. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
And then Tom Cruise is like, I gotta do something, and then he jumps out the back of the helicopter and into the water, and it's just very much Ethan Hunt.
Yes.
I thought that was really cool. Like, especially watching it the second time, the camera follows him into the water. He's in there and he's bobbing like a buoy. And then he kind of goes under or something for a second. And when he comes back up, these Navy SEALs are behind him.
Yeah.
And I thought that was dope.
That was cool. They just appeared out of nowhere.
Right. And like they had these goggles and everything that made them look so scary, like a horror movie. I thought that was pretty cool. And then he gets shocked. And then he's like, they're inside the thing and,
Can you tase in water?
It's a movie.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I think what I'd like to talk about or ask you about is how you felt about that first moment when he's going out of the boot of the submarine and he's looking at another submarine. Like it opens up and there's another submarine. It's like visually that's very like, oh my God, that's pretty scary. You know, it's like a monster.
It was harrowing.
But I think I got pulled out of the movie a little bit when he's like out there and just, you don't have, he didn't have any, anything that was propelling him. So it was just sheer will. Mm-hmm. And I'm like,
luck.
I'm like, okay, this is where like it's starting to, you know, like, I'm like, okay, he wouldn't get sucked into the, I'm not a physics, but like he wouldn't get sucked into the thing.
I did wonder about that. And that's why I was getting so scared as well. Cause I was like, oh my God, the propeller's gonna hit him. Yeah. He's gonna like get really hurt. And he just managed to not, because he is Ethan Hunt.
And he doesn't register on the boop boop thing, the sonar.
It's just a little dolphin. That deep. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay.
So many questions.
It's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine. He makes it.
I did enjoy, like, while I'm not the biggest fan of underwater stuff, I am a big fan of the movie The Abyss. And so when he was going down deep into the thing, I dug all that. Exploring parts of the world that so few people have seen. There are many parts of the ocean that no one has seen.
Yeah.
And so to go into these areas, I'm like, I don't know what's real. I don't know what's CGI at this point. I don't know what he's actually doing.
Right.
But this looks cool.
It does look cool.
Yeah. And then like he launches the flares and he lands on the thing. He's trying to figure out his way. And then the flares come down after him and he can see the entrance. I'm like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like the lighting and all that stuff.
Yeah. Like the way it was shot and handled was really, really fun.
Yeah. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
Then he goes inside and he sees the bodies and it's like a horror movie. And there's like one guy goes,
oh, yeah.
like, what happened there? Why is he frozen in that position?
And then they show you.
Well, what was it? Liquid nitrogen? What happened?
I don't know. Well, it was like, oh, it's blowing up. Yeah.
But why was he in that position?
Because that's how he died.
That's so silly. So then you have that moment. He goes into the room and it's like all these torpedoes and stuff. And I remember there's one moment when he opens the door and he's like, okay, don't touch the front of the torpedo. I was like, I don't know how torpedoes work. Is if you touch the front, is it?
I don't know.
I don't know. But he was trying not to touch it.
Yeah.
So it was obviously dangerous. I was half expecting a torpedo to like hit something and then blow up just based on that.
Yeah, because there were torpedoes falling down everywhere. Yeah.
I guess just the weight of it was the scary part of getting trapped under it.
Yeah, getting crushed.
Yeah. More than like getting blowed up. Yeah, that whole thing was, we already covered it. It was pretty harrowing.
Yeah, it was harrowing. No, it was cool. It just kind of jumped the shark a little bit.
Kind of,
at points. So
yeah. And then we get to the next part with Hayley Atwell and him in the tent.
And they had like a cute little nap together.
Right.
Which I guess I was like, come on guys, hurry up. But also I get it. He needed to like stabilize.
But you know what made that scene work? Was the Inuit lady.
I love her.
Yeah.
She was great. Like, forget about the new guy. Right. Like, she was a great addition. And I also really liked her husband, like bringing him back into the story.
How soon did you realize who he was?
Not until they said.
The flashback?
Yeah. Did you know?
Well, when I saw his face, the first time I watched it, I heard a lot of people go, "Oh!" And I was like, "Okay, I know why do I know him?
Why?
Who is he? I know his face. I freaking know his face. I just can't place him."
Yeah.
And
I was like, he looks familiar, but I just thought, oh, I've seen him in another movie, which I guess I had.
It dawned on me after a while when they're like, "Oh," and because Simon Pegg was like, "Oh my gosh, you were the guy," blah blah blah. And once he explained it, I was like, "Oh my god, that's right." And I put it together.
When he mentioned like where he had worked in the CIA, and then I was kind of thinking, because in the scene earlier when like Ethan Hunt was in front of the president and all of those people, they were talking about all the different things that he had done. And so when they mentioned that CIA place, I was like, oh, interesting. Isn't that the place like where Ethan Hunt came in and like stole a bunch of information? And then it like the penny started to drop. And then when they did the flashback and you saw his younger face, I was like, oh my God, yes, it's him. So yeah, that was really cool. I really liked it. I liked that he came to be a part of the team. I liked that, you know, he had been sent to like bumblefuck nowhere to like to spend out the rest of his days, you know.
Yeah.
And he had found this cute wife, and they had this little life, and he was so brave and everything. I was like, yeah, this guy's cool, and he's smart.
Yeah.
He can join the team.
Yeah. I loved that him and the boss from the first movie had significant roles.
Yeah.
I thought that was awesome.
That's what I mean. Like it's like a nice homage, callback, full circle moment for the franchise to have them be involved, and especially him, because he seemed to be like such a throwaway character.
His role was significant in this movie compared to the first one. Yeah, like I thought that was great.
He had the coordinates and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was so smart.
He was important.
He was important.
Yeah. I mean, it's arguable he was important in the first movie just for different reasons.
Yeah.
They're in the helicopter after that, and they're talking about the next plan. And Hayley Atwell's like having a midlife crisis here. Not a midlife crisis, but she's having a nervous breakdown. That's what I mean to say. Because Tom Cruise wants to give over the source code to Gabriel, who will then put the detonation USB drive into it. And she's like, what do you... You're just gonna you're risking the fate of billions of people on this plan. Hayley Atwell saying all that and expressing her fear, I liked that. She knows how to bring emotion in a film with otherwise stilted acting.
Yes.
You know?
Well, that's what you get. Like, I felt like in the movie I was just seeing all these really great actors just acting their butts off. Maybe if I act hard enough, I can inject something, emotion, something into this movie. I have my craft to fall back on. I'm going to do it.
You didn't like her performance?
No,
there?
I did. But it's just like, you know, sometimes you can just try and act your socks off and it's not going to do much.
Oh, I liked what she did there.
Okay.
So I
mean, for the movie as a whole, do you know what I mean?
I'm sorry. You need to walk me through like I'm 3. I don't know what you mean.
I mean, like sometimes you can have great actors.
But specifically about Hayley Atwell.
Right.
You liked her or no, you didn't like her?
No, I thought she was fine, but you can't save the movie on that alone.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. Moving on. Then you have this stuff underground, and Gabriel's people are there. The boss shows up from the IMF and all that stuff, and Tom Cruise is freaking out. He's like, no, you got to give Gabriel the thing, and then there's a gun shootout. That's when you realize that Gabriel's barely in the movie.
Yeah.
So, and I got an analog playing. One more for backup. So we can have an action sequence. Like, you just had to say it. And so I'm not the first person to say it, but I did kind of feel it when I was watching the film. It's so Metal Gear Solid, which I know you don't have as much experience with, but there's so many things in this movie, in this and the previous film, that feel so Metal Gear Solid. Metal Gear Solid 2 specifically deals with AI head on. It's talking about the dissemination of information and how there's gonna be so much crap that's out there, and that we won't be able to discern between like what's real and what's not real. We're already there, man.
Right.
Like there was a rocket that landed on a launch pad that everyone was like, oh, that's AI, terrible. And it was like, no, that's real. That was captured by drones. And so we cannot tell the difference between AI and real anymore.
Right.
And so Tom Cruise runs outside after Simon Pegg gets shot. I saw Simon Pegg get shot. I was like, didn't he get shot? And then he's like, good. Never thought he'd leave. And he pulls up his hand, it's full of blood. I'm like, oh my God, he's shot.
I know. Oh,
not him too.
Not him too. We had to give up Luther. No way. Not Benji.
But that allowed him to feel human. Because when he was in the exabyte lab or room, right? And he's like, okay, you got to like my lung, you got to count down, Palm Clementine. This is where you got to put the thing. I love that stuff. And Hayley Atwell couldn't even look. She's like, I'm just gonna keep turning this wrench over here and hoping for the best.
You know, he assigned the best women for the job. You know, it was like Grace has good hands.
Yeah.
Like, and she's pretty smart. She can figure this out. Paris is the brawn in this situation, and she's not going to be squeamish.
Yeah.
If he's like, all right, you have to make an incision. I mean, she was a little bit concerned, but you know, she did it because she's a badass. She's a baddie who can do it. You know, I really, really like her. I'm so glad that she became enamored with Ethan Hunt, and well, not enamored is probably the wrong word. Like, she's not like in love with him or whatever, but like she saw that he was a good guy and she wants to be on his team because she is so cool.
Yeah. No, that was my favorite scene in the movie, or one of my favorite scenes in the movie, I should say. Not my favorite scene in the movie, but it's one of my favorite scenes in the movie because it gave it like humanity and levity.
Yeah.
Both of which were missing in this movie a lot.
Yeah, because of the way Simon Pegg performs. Like, he's such a great comedic actor.
Yeah.
And just like the moment where he's like kind of blacking out, and then they wake him up and he's like, huh. You know, like it just felt so real.
Yeah.
And then he's like, sorry. But then he just like tells them what to do and that. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those were the moments I feel that we were kind of missing throughout because it was just so like serious.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree with you.
Yeah.
And then that you couple that with the whole plane thing. Of Tom Cruise on the plane. Now, I watched a video today. Tom Cruise was getting interviewed. The whole casting, whatever, was getting interviewed. But
yeah,
he was talking about why he blacked out. Why he or not blacked out, but he was like, I think he blacked out while he was on that plane.
Like in real life?
Yeah, in real life. Yeah.
Wow.
He said what happened was when you're up there, you have to imagine, like, you know, when you're on the freeway and you stick your head out the window and you feel the wind on your face. He's like, try to imagine that level of wind on every single part of your body. And you're trying to lift your body and it's like, it just feels like you have weight, so much more weight on every single part of your body.
Yeah, I believe it.
And at a certain point, he just got exhausted. And so he couldn't even verbally communicate. He'd have to use hand signals.
Oh.
And so he'd be like this or something to let the director know. He's like, I'm just resting, and I'm just going to rest here for the next few minutes because it was so exhausting, right? And he's just pushing himself and pushing himself and pushing himself. And at a certain point, he just like he just couldn't push himself any further. And
wow.
He was just so exhausted, he like blacked out for a second.
Yeah, I mean, and you saw that too, like just all of the wind on his face and everything as I was watching.
Not elegant.
No, I was like, there is no vanity here right now.
That's what I love about
because
it.
You just can't have that.
No.
There's no way. Like, if you have any loose skin or whatever, it's flopping around.
Yeah.
You know, like, you can't look cute. And there were moments where, like, you know, his hair in every single part of the movie looks perfectly coiffed. And then there's like a specific moment I can think of in the film when like all of the wind is just beating down and his hair is just like flat. It looks like this mop, this stringy mop on his head. And it's like, yeah, you're not looking cute. There's no looking hot right now, but you are a badass because you're doing the stunts. Yeah. You know?
I mean, there was nothing attractive looking about any of that sequence, but I was scared for him.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like, you're not even thinking about that. Like, you're just watching a man do all of that. And he's a movie star, and yet he's doing all of these stunts himself. And like, they feel really, really scary. Everything that he's doing.
This was definitely, it may just be that this is the most recent experience. And so I am a little bit removed from the other experiences and I need to go revisit them. But like, this felt like the most harrowing. Like, this felt so harrowing to watch.
I was on the edge of my seat. Like, I felt like I could barely breathe.
Right.
And like, there were moments where I was gasping. And I also screamed when Gabriel died because that was so sudden. I wasn't expecting it.
That was one of the few comedic moments in the entire movie.
I know. It was funny, but I was just shocked because I wasn't expecting it. So I was like, ah! And then like, oh.
Yeah.
You know.
They saved the violence in the movie, and that was one of the moments they saved it for.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because like, you could only do so much violence in it before it turns rated R. And so it felt like they really, like, they didn't do as much as they could other places so that they could really let it loose there. Because it was full on. He smacks the thing and blood comes out of his head.
It was gross.
Yeah. But it was so unexpected.
Yeah, it was. That's why it was funny because, you know, he's saying how he's like, oh, I've got the only parachute. And it's like, haha,
yeah, exactly.
Sucks to be you.
Yeah. He gets the other parachute. He's flying down. I started to wonder, like, how much of, is this all real? Okay, so he jumps out of the plane and I could see like smoke on his parachute. And I was like, is that supposed to be like that? Well, like, even the second time I watched it, I forgot that his thing catches on fire.
Right, yeah.
And I was like, dang, this is so realistic. Because like, fire is kind of like that. It takes a moment to ignite sometimes. And so, because it's getting all the oxygen, then it catches and then he lets it go and he's like trying to get the thing. And so.
Because there's a secondary parachute.
Right, yeah. There's a secondary chute. But There's a part of me that goes, you're getting it right down to the last few seconds. We know what's going to happen. And it kind of sucks the suspense out of it a little bit.
Sure, because we know he's going to survive. Although I guess there was a slight moment where I was like,
he could die.
Yeah.
That would have been great,
it's
actually.
The final reckoning. Does he die?
If he died, I would have been floored.
Yeah.
And that would have been amazing.
I wouldn't have believed it.
Yeah. I didn't believe it when they killed James Bond. And we saw it.
We saw it.
We saw the missiles hit his face. I'm like, nah, that's not real. Tom Cruise he's got the thing that's played by Ving Rhames, and that was the one emotional part as well.
Yeah.
Like Ving Rhames talking, because like that's this farewell thing. And it's like, it could only have been you, Ethan, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, there's a lot of like Christian overtones in these last two films. Or like Christ-like messianic overtones. I mean, the key is a cross, for Christ's sake. It's like,
here's a cruciform key.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was like Neo. It's like very Matrixy talk to me.
Sure.
You know?
I guess I hadn't thought about that, but yeah.
After that is the wrap up.
In Trafalgar Square, which was like super awkward.
Mm-hmm.
Where they all come out at different points of the station, and they're all hanging out, standing in Trafalgar Square, looking at each other. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, and look at all these people walking around. They'll never know.
Right.
And then they all go off in separate directions. I just wish that they had all gone together and like gone to the pub or something.
Holding hands. Oh, I see.
You know?
or got falafels or something.
Yeah, just hung out. And then like
the end of Avengers.
Yeah.
The first Avengers.
Yeah. Or just like, gone to the pub, had a drink in honor of Luther.
In honor of Simon Pegg's other movie.
World's End.
Yeah, World's End, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you like the end credits part where it said Ethan Hunt might be back?
There was that?
No, I just made that up.
Okay. I was like, did I miss
every
that?
Marvel movie always ends with something like that, like Doctor Strange will return.
So is this the final?
It depends. How much money have we made? He might come back.
He might come back. Yeah, no, but for real, is this done?
Nobody knows. Nobody knows except for Tom Cruise's knees. Like, no one actually knows.
He's like, can I make another one?
Yeah.
Will my body survive?
The thing is, the previous Mission Impossible film didn't do as well as expected.
Yeah.
And so nobody knows if this one's going to do as well as, like, it's anybody's guess. And so if this does $1 billion or something, which it won't probably, then yeah, they'll do another one.
That's fair.
Tom Cruise is not done having his adventures.
No, I feel like he's going to carry on until he's like in his 80s.
I don't think anything will stop him.
Nothing.
He's going to find the means of extending telomeres. He's going to find the means of like cycling out all the bad DNA and replacing it with good ones. Like, he's going to figure it out.
If anyone will, it's him.
It's going to be him. He's out there singing that NSYNC song.
Which one?
Or is it Backstreet Boys? I always confuse it.
Tell me.
It's NSYNC.
It is NSYNC.
Okay, I was right. You made me second guess myself.
No, you started second guessing yourself. Just own it.
Okay.
Commit to
NSYNC.
NSYNC. Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed the film overall, and I do plan to own it because it had the most harrowing stunts. I'm having a bit of a conundrum because like I don't care to own the previous one. I just don't. Like, I just want that one. If they gave me a 4K Blu-ray with just the plane sequence, I'd be content.
Honestly.
Yeah. I do plan to buy at least this one. I'm such a completionist, though.
You may as well. They'll probably come out with a box set,
like a dual box set or something like that.
Yeah, probably.
Reckoning and Final Reckoning.
Part 1 and part 2. Yeah.
Well, they don't call it that anymore. They renamed it.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Dead Reckoning and Final Reckoning.
Yeah. To the movie's credit, I watched it twice and I got through it without falling asleep.
Bravo.
I enjoyed myself both times. I do wish that they had more IMAX, but we got what we got. There are things I would have liked differently, but I plan to own the movie. And so that says a lot.
Yeah, that says something.
It's one of those things where it's like, I think there's like this expectation when you watch a movie. It's like, I loved it. Nah, it was terrible. Like, it's very, we're very like binary in the way that we're supposed to convey our opinions sometimes, it seems like. And it's like, if you have a negative thing to say about a movie that a lot of people loved, well, you're an asshole and you don't know what you're talking about. Blah, blah. Your opinions suck anyway. Oh, I actually agree with him this time because he thinks what I think. It's nuanced. It's a very nuanced opinion. And it's like, we talked about this for like, I don't know how long the video is going to be, but we're talking more than 82 minutes now.
Holy crap.
And so there's so much to unpack about the movie because it's not perfect by any stretch.
No, it's not perfect, but it was still enjoyable.
Yeah, but there was so much to enjoy in it.
And it's definitely a spectacle.
Yes.
It's something that should be experienced on the big screen.
I agree with you.
It's made for that big screen experience. So if you enjoy going to the cinema, then you ought to go.
I hope Tom Cruise continues to make these. I hope that this is not the final reckoning for Ethan Hunt.
Final.
I hope that there's more. But Simon Pegg rightly asks, like, how can we go bigger than this? Like, each time. Each time he's asking, like, how can we go any bigger?
Yeah, that's true. But they continue to do that with, like, Fast and Furious movies.
I'm so glad you brought that up. So, in Fast and Furious, they kept joking, like, we're eventually going to have Fast and Furious in space. And then they did. But not really.
Yeah.
It's CG. You know, Tom Cruise is talking to Jeff Bezos, or one of those fuckers, and is like, yo, I want to be in space. I want Ethan Hunt in space.
Yeah.
I want to do Moonraker, but for real.
Make it happen.
Yes. Like, if there's another Mission Impossible film, it's in space.
Okay.
It's got to be. And I'm here for it.
You're calling it now.
Like Mission Impossible Gravity Edition.
Wow.
You know, Outer Orbit, Earth Outer Orbit, or whatever it's called.
Sure. Why not?
Yeah, man. That'd be cool.
That would be cool. Yeah.
And I can't even imagine what kind of action sequence that would be.
Just floating.
Yeah. I feel like it's going to be that, or it's going to be Vomit Comet kind of stuff, you know?
Oh, yeah.
I think we talked about it enough.
I think so.
I enjoyed this movie, and I will enjoy it again and again, at least the plane sequence. I could have done with more Palm Clementine fighting.
Yeah. Palm Clementieff.
Oh, sorry. Palm Klondike Bar. No, she was great.
Yeah, she was great. I loved her.
She was fantastic. And
she moved so well.
I could have done with more of her doing stuff.
Yes, and she's nice to look at too. Plus, she's a good actress.
Is she Asian?
I think so. She has an interesting background.
Is Bjork Asian?
No, Bjork is Icelandic.
She looks Asian.
Yeah, but she's from Iceland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Palm Clementieff is not Icelandic. She's French, right?
She's French, yeah.
They don't usually look Asian.
Depends, because you've got like a lot of Vietnamese people, because it used to be a colony of France. You've got like Vietnamese, Cambodians, Laotian.
I wish there was a way we could find out. Anyways, this has been fun. You guys, thanks so much for hanging out with us. Hopefully you enjoyed that. And that's it for now. I am Jaby Koay. This is
Achara Kirk.
Deuces. This video will self-destruct
in 10 seconds.
In 5 seconds.
Oh, 5, 4, 3, 2.
Oh, look at that.
We're still here.
We're still here.